Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a overview of the 119th Independent Tank Regiment, a new division available in the Lviv update. Please remember that this is early access, so what you see may be subject to change. I'm going to go through all of the units available in this deck that I have made previously. So you can take a good look at what we have, but I'm going to take you through each of the tabs to show you the options. So at the start I chose the Mi-8MT for some forward supply. The 1500 supply allows you to sort of repair your tanks on the front line. You can also move that supply into the Ural trucks and have like a forward base of supply with your helicopters, which you can then transfer further forwards with Urals. So I have a set of Urals as well. I do also have the FOB in the deck, and I have some BMP 13Ks. The FOB's more of a choice for the larger team games, if I want to use artillery, if I think I'm going to need more repairs for my tanks, that sort of thing. Other choices you can get are the MTLB. You can get 10 of these on a card, so they're a lot less risky to use than the Ural, as you can kind of split up your supply. They also have a little bit of armor, so a bit more tanky if you need, but they are slower than the Ural, so that is the reason that I use the Ural personally. You can get extra cards of the Urals and the Mi-8Ts. You can also get the Mi-9, which is the command helicopter. Command helicopters are more useful than they used to be ever since they made it so that you can capture a sector and you don't have to leave a command there. So they're great for capturing the back sectors whenever like the enemy gets aggressive and takes a sector behind you with like a flank or something, then you can just quickly capture it back with the Mi-9 once you dealt with them. This is what this kind of command is useful for, but less useful for contesting on the front line. Then we have the RKHM, which is an unarmed command vehicle, quite cheap, but you only get 2 on a card. And then you have the BMP 13K or 1K3 that can defend itself, which I have a card of, and then the BTR 60 PBK. Moving on to the infantry tab. The infantry tab is actually pretty anemic in the 119th tank, which is kind of what you expect in a tank division, or regiment in this case. We have, first of all, the NSV 12.7mm, the machine gun. Can come in the UAZ and the MTLB. We have the Motostrauki, which you can bring in with the BMP 1P. It's the only transport that you can bring it in, so I think it's okay. Like the BMP 1P on its own does have the Fagor, so it does have an HGM that can project a little bit of damage, so that's okay. Then we have the Superdi Caminotti, which we can bring in as a leader option, but you're not going to really want to use a leader in the infantry tab when you only have 5 slots of infantry available. But you can bring this in with the UAZ and the BTR-60. There's a Sapari. Sapari with the satchel charges at the moment, I prefer less than the Superdi RPO with the RPO launcher. So that's just a personal preference. Superdi can be really useful in towns, for example. But Superdi RPO are more useful like overall in general, so in forests and in towns, so that's why I generally prefer to use the Superdi RPO. Also with the shock trait, this inflicts more damage now, so definitely worth using those. And you can bring them in with the BTR-60PBs, which I would definitely recommend, because these BTR-60PBs are fantastic for deleting infantry that does not have AT. Then we have the Spetsnaz Caminotti. Again, probably wouldn't be worth bringing because you can't really fit a leader in here, but does have some nice transports like the Mi-8T rocket, which does in fact have a bunch of rockets on it, like 64 rockets, so pretty nice. No ECM on this one though. Then we have the Spetsnaz OP, which is a really good unit. They have the forward deployment of 3,534. They are special forces, so that's really cool. They can be brought in with helicopters, but just bringing them in with the UAZs in this case, so that they move forwards with the rest of the troops. Also, the UAZs are fast enough that like they're not any slower really than the helicopters when it comes to getting to the front line in time. Then there's the normal squad of Spetsnaz that I have again in the UAZs. Spetsnaz are really, really good. They have the Special Forces training and the shock training with the RPO launcher, so fantastic close range infantry. Then there is the Pulimachiki, which are a relatively decent squad with the 3 PKMs and the RPG-22, just no extra room really for them in this deck. In the artillery tab, again, things are pretty anemic here. We have the Veselek as an option, which is not fantastic. Like, in large numbers they can be okay, but the micro involved in using these is going to be really annoying because you're going to have to reload them into the Gaz or the MTLB every time you use them. Otherwise they'll just get counter-batteried really fast. Then we have the Muster. This thing is actually pretty good because of the range, so it makes it less likely to be counter-batteried, especially on larger maps. So this is more for like team games where I would use this with the FSP. So that's why I have them in the deck, but normally I probably wouldn't use them unless I need like artillery in a pinch for whatever reason. And then there's also the Gwozdika. It's kind of tempting to bring in like a card of Veseleks for smoke and stuff, but I'm not sure if they can even bring smoke or use smoke. So, yeah, I think they can. Anyway, just bringing in the Musters for now, and that is it. Then in the tank tab, this is where things get a bit spicy for the 119th tank. They have a lot of T80UDs. All the T80UDs got moved out of the 79th Guards and put into the 119th tank. So here we have like 6 cards, I think it's 6 cards available of T80UDs in total, yeah. With 2 of them here I have 1 vet, so I only have 2 of them on each card, and then currently I've got 4 cards with 3 vet, because having them at 2 vet or 3 vet doesn't change availability. You can just have them at 3 vet. So this is really good because it makes the reflex HGM much more reliable, and also pushes the accuracy here, you can see, to 71%. Which is pretty nice, especially for an autoloader which has 21 front armor. So you can kind of just move them forwards, and you don't suffer. Like if you take a couple shots while you're moving up into range, you don't suffer from losing reload time because you have a autoloader. That would be due to cohesion normally. But in this tab I also have my commanders, so T80 BBKs to contest sectors, really good for contesting sectors. They've also, you know, accompanying the BMP-1s, so I'll probably use the BMP-1s in less contested sectors and then have like a T80 BBK accompanied by a couple of T80UDs for contested sectors. Then we got the T55s and a card of T80Us with 2 of that. There is 2 cards available of the T80Us. There's actually 3 cards available of the T80 BBKs. I've got a couple of them already. You can get the BRDM Conkers, which is an okay HGM platform, and then you have the Rapira, which actually has the 2,800 meter range HGM, but it is not very accurate. And then another card of TO55s if you can fit them in. But in this case, I'm opting for the high veterancy over availability for this regiment. Then we have the Recon tab. So first of all, the Mi-24K, I think this is almost a must. It's a very good optic helicopter, which has the ability to utterly annihilate infantry. It can also take out lightly armored vehicles with its rockets and its Gatling cannon. So yeah, a pretty useful helicopter to have. Then we have the Spetsnaz. These guys have the Dragunov and the RPG-22, just a solid recon squad that you're generally going to want to use for their GSR trait, which allows them to get higher than very good optics and spot for you. Like, you only really want to use these for engaging enemy units in the pinch, and potentially if you can get side shots and ambushes with the RPG-22. Then there's the Razvedka, the Montrozvedka. These can be brought in with the BMP-1P, which also is a recon vehicle, which is a really nice combination. You can bring them in with all of these Mi-8s and the Mi-2s, but I think the Razvedka BMP-1 is a good choice because it just gives you like an extra recon vehicle. For 6 availability, you get 2 recon units, which is really nice. So definitely a good preference of mine after the start of the game. I probably used like the spetsnaz early on to try and spot units and get them into good hiding positions, and then you can bring in like the BMP 1Ps and Motorvedka afterwards, or maybe like one to accompany your slower forces on the approach. I've also got the BRM1 because it does have exceptional optics and is really good for just sitting in tree lines and spotting things for you, but again, you don't really want to be using this to engage the enemy. Other choices here are the Rozvedka Sapari, which are a recon squad with close range capabilities, and then you have the BRDM2 as well. In the AA tab, we have the Iglas, again another anemic tab in terms of choice. We've got Iglas, Strelas and Tunguskas. I'm just going for a card of Iglas, decent manpads to be honest. Then we have the Tunguska, which is a pretty good platform. I personally think it's a bit overpriced for what it does, but overall, yeah, decent for sure, especially with its missile, which has very good range. And then we have the Strela Tenem. The beauty of the Strela Tenem is that it does have the same accuracy on the move, so don't be scared to chase helicopters with it, because even if it's moving, it's going to have the same accuracy. So that's what makes this so useful. Then we have the helicopter tab. The helicopter tab has 4 choices. In this case, I've gone for both of the Mi-24 VPs. The 23mm on the front of these is very, very useful for destroying light armored vehicles and enemy infantry. Its Kokon has a really good range of 2,800 meters. With the 2 vet that you get as well, it's up to 57% accuracy, so that's very useful, as well as those extra rockets. Very good, versatile helicopter, but quite expensive and will be dived by aircraft. So make sure you keep it near your AA so you can trade aircraft out. And also probably something you might want to use a bit later in the game once most of the diving aircraft have been killed, because people are going to dive for both these Mi-24 VPs and also the Mi-24Ks. They are big targets for things like Mirage F1Cs, for example. Then there's the Mi-24 VAA, which does have those 4 Iglas, very useful for taking on enemy helicopters. Might shoot down an enemy aircraft every now and then if they fly past, but yeah, primarily used for taking on enemy helicopters. And then we have the Mi-24V with the extra 122mm rockets, can demolish things very, very quickly. Does also have Kokons. This is the sort of thing that I'd use sooner than the Mi-24 VP, because the Mi-24 VP you're really paying for like Kokon tax, like because you get 16 of them compared to 4, it makes a big difference. But this is a very good helicopter to use earlier on and force your opponent to try and shoot it down first, and then you can use the Mi-24 VP afterwards once you've dealt with the thing that would be otherwise shooting the Mi-24V. Into the air tab. Oh, actually, let me just make sure that I've shown you everything here. Yeah, the only other one you can get is the Mi-24 VAT, which has extra Kokon missiles and 80mm rockets instead of the 122mm rockets. So this is the other one you can have. But since you only get like 1 on each card, I think this is probably the best setup. Into the air tab, we have the Su-27S, one of the best air-to-air fighters in the game. Very, very strong because it's 30% ECM, as well as very accurate missiles. These come in at 2 vet as well, which boosts that up even more. And yeah, just a solid air-to-air platform for sure. And then we have the MiG-29, which is a fantastic air-to-air platform for the price, like 195 points. That is like seriously like 75 points cheaper than the Su-27S, and you have missiles that are almost just as good, well, if not the same, basically, with 10% less ECM. So the MiG-29 is just really, really good, honestly, for its price. Then we have the Su-24M LGB. Now this isn't something that I necessarily recommend to use, but I'm currently using it because it's funny. It's just for fun, pretty much. It has 45 HE. Like, it's a 1,500 kilogram laser guided bomb. This thing deletes. But the Su-24 itself, currently in the game, is really bad. Its agility is terrible. Like, at normal, it just like turns like a boat. It's really, really bad. And 305 points, it's almost going to die every single time you bring it in. Yeah, so that's why I wouldn't necessarily recommend using any of the Su-24s, including the Seed variant or the HE variant. But air-to-air here, pretty strong. MiG-29s, Su-27s, beautiful stuff. The air optics here, obviously, it makes quite a nice difference if you've got them hanging around at the back. But yeah, there you go. That's the 119th tank. I'll just show you the whole division again. There you go. That's the complete overview. A lot of T-80UDs that you're going to want to support with AA, maybe with some smoke. You have a lot of close-range infantry between the Spetsnaz and the Sapeli RPO, so you don't have to deal with that. If you do want to go into close-range combat with enemy infantry, you can support it with like the TO-55s, for example. If you are struggling against enemy vehicles that are killing your Sapeli RPO and Spetsnaz because you don't have any AT on those units, then you can bring your own like T-80U or T-80UDs into the forest to engage those units, because these have such great armor, the T-80UD specifically, that they will be able to deal with face tanking those units at close range. Also, do be careful of side shots though. Like obviously with a tank in a forest, it's very prone to side shots. But yeah, helicopters are also a great solution for dealing with vehicles that are killing your infantry. But overall, yeah, pretty solid division. I think the T-80UDs make this really good, if not the best, at long range. And then at closer ranges, you still have loads of close range infantry to supplement. So it's really not too bad, this division. It looks anemic in that there's not much choice, but overall, pretty solid in my opinion, specifically for team games. I don't know how it really performs in 1v1, but I expect it would be pretty decent. Anyway, that's it from me for the 119th tank. I'll be looking at the other one, which is the 11th Armoured Cavalry Regiment, in the next video. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.